You're in a room full of people. Friends, family, coworkers. Everyone's talking, laughing, connected, and you feel completely alone. Not physically alone. Worse, you're surrounded by people and still feel like nobody actually sees you. Nobody truly knows you. Nobody understands what's going on inside your head. You smile. You engage. You play the part. But inside, you're isolated, disconnected, wondering if anyone would even notice if you just disappeared. If you're a man feeling this, you're not broken. You're not weird. And you're definitely not alone in feeling alone. There's a silent epidemic destroying men right now. It's not talked about. It's barely acknowledged. But it's killing us slowly. Male loneliness. And it's not about having friends or being around people. It's about something much deeper that the Stoics understood 2,000 years ago. Today, I'm going to explain exactly why you feel alone even when you're surrounded by people. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to fix it. This isn't therapy talk. This is ancient wisdom combined with modern reality. Let's begin. ## Part 1. The epidemic nobody talks about. Here's a statistic that should scare you. Studies show that nearly 50% of men report feeling persistently lonely. And that number is rising every single year. But here's what's worse. Men won't talk about it. A woman feels lonely, she calls a friend. She joins a group. She talks about her feelings. A man feels lonely, he suffers in silence. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that admitting loneliness means admitting weakness. And men can't be weak, right? Wrong. But that belief is killing you. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journal about feeling isolated despite being surrounded by thousands of people daily. The most powerful man alive felt alone. Why? Because loneliness isn't about the number of people around you. It's about the quality of connection you have with them. And here's the brutal truth about modern life. We're more connected than ever through technology, but more isolated than ever in reality. You have hundreds of social media friends, but nobody you can actually talk to at 2 a.m. when your mind won't shut off. You have work colleagues you see every day, but nobody who actually knows what you're struggling with. You might even have a relationship or marriage where you still feel completely alone because you can't share what's really going on inside. Why? Because you've been taught to wear a mask, to be strong, to have it all together, to never show vulnerability. And that mask is suffocating you. The Stoics understood something critical. Connection requires authenticity, and authenticity requires vulnerability. But modern society has taught men that vulnerability is weakness. So you hide, you perform, you pretend everything's fine, and you wonder why you feel so alone. Here's what's actually happening. You're surrounded by people who know the character you play, but nobody knows the real you, because you won't let them. Not because you're bad at relationships, because you're terrified of what happens if people see the real you. Will they judge you, reject you, think less of you? Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Your fear of rejection keeps you lonely more than actual rejection ever would. Let me tell you what this loneliness does to you over time. It destroys your mental health. Depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts all correlate directly with chronic loneliness. It destroys your physical health. Studies show lonely men have higher rates of heart disease, weakened immune systems, and die younger. It destroys your performance. You can't focus. You can't create. You can't build. Because part of your brain is always processing this emptiness. It destroys your relationships. Ironically, feeling lonely makes you worse at connecting, which makes you more lonely. It's a downward spiral. And here's the worst part. You think you're the only one feeling this way. You look around and everyone else seems fine, connected, happy. So you assume something's wrong with you. But here's the truth. Most of those men feel exactly like you do. They're just hiding it better. We're all wearing masks, all pretending, all suffering alone while surrounded by others who are also suffering alone. It's insane. And it needs to stop. Hashtag part 2. Why you actually feel alone. Let's dig into the real reasons. Because understanding the problem is the first step to fixing it. Hashtag reason 1. You've confused presence with connection. You think being around people means connection. It doesn't. You can sit in a room with 10 people and feel completely disconnected, because everyone's on their phones, or talking about surface-level things, or performing their social roles. Real connection isn't proximity, it's depth. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." How many people in your life actually do that? How many conversations do you have that go beyond weather, sports, and work gossip? Probably not many, because deep connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability feels dangerous. Hashtag reason 2. You're not showing your real self. You have different versions of yourself for different contexts. Work you, social you, family you, online you, all slightly different, all calibrated to be acceptable in that specific environment. But who are you really? That's the question you might not even be able to answer anymore. Because you've been performing for so long, you've lost touch with your authentic self. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." You're showing people the version of you that you think they want to see, not the actual you. And when nobody knows the actual you, you feel alone. Because the version of you that's being accepted isn't really you. Hashtag reason 3. Men's friendships are shallow by default. Let's be honest about male friendship. It's built on activities, not emotions. You watch the game together, hit the gym together, grab a beer together. But do you talk about what's actually going on in your life? Your fears? Your struggles? Your doubts? Probably not. Because that's not what guys do. Women build friendships through emotional sharing. Men build friendships through shared activities. Neither is wrong. But the male approach leaves a void. You can have 5 good friends you see regularly and still have nobody to actually talk to about what matters. The Stoics had deep philosophical friendships. Seneca and his friend Lucilius wrote hundreds of letters to each other about life, death, meaning, and struggle. When's the last time you had a conversation like that with another man? Hashtag reason 4. Society has destroyed male spaces. Historically, men had spaces where they could be authentic with each other. Workshops, lodges, guilds, hunting groups, war bands. These weren't just activity spaces. They were brotherhood spaces, where men could be vulnerable, ask for help, and support each other. Modern society has systematically destroyed these spaces and replaced them with nothing. You're expected to figure everything out alone, to be self-sufficient, to not need support. And when you do need support, you have nowhere to go, because asking for help feels like admitting failure. Hashtag reason 5. You've stopped pursuing meaning. Here's something deep. Loneliness isn't just about lacking connection with others. It's about lacking connection with yourself and your purpose. When you're pursuing something meaningful, when you're building something that matters, you feel less alone, even if you're physically alone. But when you're just going through the motions, work, consume, sleep, repeat, you feel empty, disconnected from yourself and from any larger purpose. Viktor Frankl survived Nazi concentration camps and discovered, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." Do you have a why? Or are you just existing? Because if you don't have a purpose bigger than yourself, you'll feel alone even in a crowd. Because you're disconnected from meaning itself. Hashtag reason 6. Digital connection replaced real connection. You think scrolling through social media counts as social connection. It doesn't. You think texting counts as communication. It barely does. You think online friends count as real friendships. They can, but usually don't. You're getting the simulation of connection without the nutrition of actual connection. It's like junk food. It satisfies the craving momentarily but leaves you emptier than before. The Stoics valued deep, meaningful relationships over superficial connections. Seneca wrote, "One loyal friend is worth 10,000 relatives." How many loyal friends do you have? Not acquaintances, not people you see at parties. Friends who actually know you and would be there if you needed them. If you can't name at least one, you're not alone in a crowd. You're just alone. Part 3. The Stoic Solution. Alright, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. The Stoics weren't just philosophers. They were practical men who figured out how to live meaningful, connected lives despite all the challenges they faced. Here's how you fix this. Solution 1. Start being authentic. This is the foundation. Everything else builds on this. You need to stop performing and start being real. I'm not saying dump all your problems on everyone you meet. I'm saying stop hiding who you actually are. Start with small authenticity. Someone asks how you're doing? Instead of automatic fine, try honesty. Honestly, I'm struggling with something. See what happens. You'll be surprised how many people actually want real connection. They're just waiting for someone else to go first. Marcus Aurelius practiced daily self-examination. Every evening, he'd review his day and ask, "Did I act according to my principles? Did I show up as my authentic self?" Start doing this. Journal for 10 minutes every night. Not what happened, but who you were. Were you authentic? Where did you hide? Why? This builds self-awareness. And self-awareness is the first step to authenticity. Solution 2. Build one deep friendship. You don't need 20 friends. You need 1 or 2 real ones. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius, "I shall continue to talk with you, though we are separated, just as if we were together." That's real friendship, where distance doesn't matter because the connection is deep. Find one man you respect, someone who seems to have their life together or at least is honestly trying. Reach out. "Hey, want to grab coffee? I'm trying to build more meaningful friendships with quality people." Direct. Honest. Most men will say yes because they want the same thing. Then have real conversations. Not about sports. About life. Purpose. Struggles. Growth. Start shallow if you need to, but move toward depth. Ask real questions. What are you working on that matters to you? What's challenging you right now? What do you wish you were better at? This feels uncomfortable at first. Do it anyway. One deep friendship will cure more loneliness than 100 shallow connections. Solution 3. Create or join a brotherhood. Men need other men. Not in competition. In brotherhood. Find or create a group of men committed to growth. Could be a book club, a workout group, a business mastermind, a philosophy discussion. The activity matters less than the commitment to depth. Set a rule. This is a space where we're real, where we support each other, where we challenge each other, where we don't judge. The Stoics had philosophical circles. Marcus learned from Epictetus. Seneca taught many students. They gathered to discuss ideas, challenge beliefs, and support growth. You need this. Every man does. If it doesn't exist in your area, create it. Post on social media. Starting a men's group focused on personal growth. Meeting weekly. DM if interested. You'll be shocked how many men are waiting for someone to create this. Solution 4. Pursue something meaningful. Remember what I said earlier. Some loneliness comes from disconnection from purpose. You need something you're building that matters. Something bigger than yourself. Could be a business, a skill, a creative project, a cause, a mission. Something where you're contributing to the world, not just consuming from it. Marcus Aurelius served Rome. That gave his life meaning beyond personal happiness. What are you serving? What are you building? What will outlast you? When you're pursuing purpose, you naturally connect with others on the same path. And those connections are deeper because they're built on shared meaning. Solution 5. Practice voluntary vulnerability. This is scary, but necessary. Start sharing what you're actually dealing with. Your struggles, your doubts, your fears. Not for pity, for connection. Epictetus was enslaved and crippled. He didn't hide his struggles. He used them as teaching moments. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. That's the whole point. Start small. Tell one person one real thing. I've been feeling really isolated lately. Working on it. Watch what happens. Most people will respect your honesty. Some will share their own struggles. Connection forms. The mask of perfection creates loneliness. Vulnerability creates connection. Solution 6. Get off your phone. Seriously. Your phone is making you lonely. Every hour you spend scrolling is an hour you're not connecting with real people in real life. Set boundaries. No phone after 8 p.m. No phone during meals. No phone when with people. Replace that time with real interaction. Call a friend. Write a letter. Have a conversation. The Stoics valued presence. Being fully where you are. Not distracted. Not somewhere else mentally. Practice this. When you're with someone, be with them. No phone. Full attention. You'll be amazed how much deeper connections become when you're actually present. Solution 7. Serve others. Here's something counterintuitive. One of the best cures for loneliness is serving others. When you volunteer, when you help someone, when you mentor, when you contribute, you connect. Not just with the people you're serving, with yourself, with meaning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." You're part of something bigger. Act like it. Find a cause. Volunteer weekly. Help someone who needs it. Mentor someone younger. This connects you to community and purpose simultaneously. Solution 8. Do hard things with others. Men bond through shared struggle. Always have. Always will. That's why teams who go through hard training together become brothers. Why combat veterans have bonds civilians can't understand. You need shared struggle. Join a hard workout program. Train for something difficult. Build something challenging together. The struggle creates bonds that conversation alone can't. This is why men's groups work better when there's a physical component. The shared effort creates connection. Part 4. What not to do. Let's talk about what makes loneliness worse. Because some things you think are helping are actually destroying you. Mistake 1. Isolating further. When you feel lonely, your instinct is to withdraw. Nobody understands me anyway, so why bother? This makes everything worse. Loneliness compounds. The more you isolate, the harder it becomes to connect. Force yourself to engage. Even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel it. Mistake 2. Numbing with substances or distractions. Alcohol. Drugs. Porn. Video games. Endless scrolling. These numb the pain temporarily. But they deepen the isolation. The Stoics were clear. Face your pain. Don't run from it. Running from loneliness creates more loneliness. Mistake 3. Blaming others. People are shallow. Nobody cares. Everyone's fake. Maybe. But that attitude guarantees you stay lonely. Take responsibility. Yes, society has problems. But you can still build real connections if you try. Mistake 4. Waiting for others to reach out. If people cared, they'd call me. They're thinking the same thing about you. Stop waiting. Reach out first. Every time. Be the initiator. Mistake 5. Comparing your inside to others outside. Everyone on social media looks happy and connected. You feel alone and broken, but you're comparing your internal reality to their external performance. They feel alone too. They're just not posting about it. Hashtag part 5. The deeper truth. Here's something the Stoics understood that most people miss. Some loneliness is actually solitude, and solitude is necessary. There's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is painful isolation, feeling disconnected and craving connection. Solitude is chosen alone time with yourself, for reflection, growth, and clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." You need solitude, time alone with your thoughts, time to process, time to grow. But modern men fear solitude. They fill every moment with noise, distraction, and stimulation, so they never actually know themselves. And when you don't know yourself, you can't share yourself, which creates loneliness. Learn to be alone without being lonely. Build a relationship with yourself first. Meditate, journal, walk in nature, sit in silence. This isn't avoiding people. This is building the foundation for real connection. Because you can't connect deeply with others until you connect deeply with yourself. The Stoics practiced this daily. Time alone wasn't punishment. It was training. Training to know themselves, to understand their principles, to strengthen their character. Do the same. And here's what you'll discover. When you're comfortable in solitude, you're less desperate for connection. And ironically, that makes you better at connecting. You're not needy. You're not seeking validation. You're seeking genuine connection because you want it, not because you need it. That's attractive. That's magnetic. That's what builds real friendships. So why do you feel alone even when you're around people? Because you're not showing who you really are. Because modern society destroyed the spaces where men could be authentic. Because you're confusing digital simulation with real connection. Because you're disconnected from purpose. But it doesn't have to stay this way. The Stoics faced the same struggles. Marcus Aurelius felt isolated despite having thousands of people around him daily. But he didn't just suffer with it. He worked on it. He built meaningful relationships. He pursued purpose. He practiced authenticity. And he wrote about it so you could learn from it 2,000 years later. You're not broken for feeling this way. You're human. And you're living in a time that's particularly hard on men's mental health. But you can fix it. Start being authentic. Build one deep friendship. Join or create a brotherhood. Pursue purpose. Practice vulnerability. Get off your phone. Serve others. Do hard things together. Not all at once. Start with one. This week. Today. Reach out to one person. Have one real conversation. Take one step toward connection. Because here's the truth. You're surrounded by men who feel exactly like you do. They're waiting for someone to go first. To be real. To be vulnerable. To create space for authentic connection. Be that man. Not because you're special. Because you're brave enough to admit you're human. The loneliness you feel isn't permanent. It's a signal. A signal that you're meant for deeper connection. That you're capable of more meaningful relationships. That you're ready to stop performing and start living. Answer that signal. Build those connections. Live authentically. And watch how life transforms when you finally let people see the real you. You're not alone. You've just been looking for connection in the wrong places. Now you know where to find it. If this resonated with you, subscribe and hit that like button. You're not watching alone. Thousands of men are going through exactly what you are. Comment below. What's one step you're taking this week to build real connection? I read every single comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay authentic, stay connected, stay strong.